For me, it was all about networking. My story with American Cloud was a huge networking story. I'll tell you about that. But it's all about networking. And it can definitely get overwhelming as you're transitioning out because they are feeding you so much information. So just an important tip from me when I was transitioning was to organize stuff that they were giving me. Organize it and don't lose track of it because it will help build that network and you'll find ways to talk to people.
Welcome to the 7 Eagle Group podcast, your home for inspiring stories, valuable tips, and great advice from hard-charging veterans so you can lead a more rewarding and lucrative post-military career.
Hey guys, Jordy from 7 Eagle Group. You know, one of my favorite parts of this job is getting the opportunity to share really inspiring stories of veterans transitioning out and just having cool jobs and doing a lot of interesting things. I think it's important to share these stories, these successes. So today I have an amazing guy with us. He spent 20 plus years as a communications sergeant in the Airborne, 5th Special Forces Group. He is a specialist in operations and management and telecom. And right now he is running operations as the chief of staff for an amazing company called American Cloud. He's down in Clarksville, Tennessee. Joe Evans, welcome.
Thank you, Jordy. Thank you for having me. It's great to be on with you.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking a few minutes, man. I appreciate it. So tell everyone a little bit about your background. Like, why did you decide to enlist and what was that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in Eastern Tennessee, so I'm really not that far from home, but I grew up in a older style household. So we believed firmly in God, country, family, and in that order. So it was a no-brainer for me. I grew up watching war movies with my granddad, both my granddads. And then as I just got closer to 18, didn't really know where I was going to go, what I wanted to do after high school. So 7 days later, I was at MEPS and off to Fort Benning.
That's awesome. Do you come from military family, or I mean?
I would say 85% of my family served some sort of time in the military, not a full term, not a full 20 years, but they did definitely a few years in the military itself.
Yeah. Oh, they must be proud of you. That's awesome. And so what was it like in Airborne? I mean, what was that? Was that a great experience? Share any stories? Yeah.
Yeah, it was all a great experience from the very beginning. Actually, when I first began, I started at Fort Benning and went through airborne school. And it was shortly after the Iraqi war kicked off. And then I got sent to Germany to a tank unit, a Bradley unit, a lot of armored infantry, which, as an airborne guy, I showed up and they were like, "You have wings out of out of school?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Well, I don't know why you're here, but glad you are."
Wow.
And just turned out that we were next on the rotation and they were plussing that unit up. So yeah, that was an awesome adventure over in Germany. Awesome time, get to see a lot of the world while I was over there, meet a lot of good guys. And then from there I came back and finally got into an airborne unit at the 82nd. Where I enjoyed every moment of it. I did quite a few trips with them to Afghanistan and then finally ended up at 5th Special Forces Group, where I finished my career out there.
That's great. Thank you for your service, man. When you look back now, I know it wasn't that long ago, but what are some of your favorite memories of that? Like, how did that service for 20 years, how did that make you into the man you are today? What did you pull away from that with?
Camaraderie was a big one. And it's one of the things that I do miss a lot after transition is the close camaraderie that you have within that team atmosphere. So I found other ways to help me out with that by joining a gym and building some relationships there. So that helped me a ton. But yeah, camaraderie was huge, and that was some of my greatest times was just being close with guys, hanging out with guys, going out and having a good time on the weekend, whatever. That will always be with me as I grow older. and so with those guys. I still talk to a lot of them, and
Sure.
it's good to see where they're headed
Yeah.
in their lives. So that is one of the biggest things that I remember, and will carry on through my life. And then outside of that's just the world experience that I got in the military, from seeing the Middle East to seeing Europe to seeing a lot of different places in the world that's off the beaten path.
Yeah.
So you get to see a lot of the real world in the military, and that has definitely come with me to the other side of the aisle here.
Absolutely. So talk a little bit about your transition. What was that like for you? Was it challenging? How'd you hook up with American Cloud?
Yeah, absolutely. The transition was actually, we don't like to give the Army much credit. And I'm saying the Army for me because I was in the Army. I know there's a lot of guys getting out of the Marine Corps and everything else. But the Army really does a good job at the transition piece now. I know when I first came in, there wasn't a whole lot of transition. Even coming back from a deployment, there wasn't transition back. So
Yeah.
they're doing a really good job. And the career skills program is awesome. It's all about, for me, it was all about networking. And my story with American Cloud was a huge networking story. And I'll tell you about that. But it's all about networking, and it can definitely get overwhelming as you're transitioning out, because they are feeding you so much information.
Yeah.
So just an important tip from me when I was transitioning was to organize stuff that they were giving me. Organize it and don't lose track of it, because
Mhm.
it will help build that network, and you'll find ways to talk to people through the information that they're giving you, because
Yeah.
you're being briefed by a lot of veterans that have done exactly what you're doing. So
Yeah.
it's a good source of information.
Hey guys, it's Jordy. A lot of you leave comments asking for help. I'm going to tell you the best way to get a hold of me. Shoot me a text message right now. 413-337-3638. That's 413-337-3638. I'll get back to you with whatever you need. Let's get back to the video. So how'd you hook up with American Cloud? How'd that work for you?
Yeah, so like I said, it was a big networking operation that occurred. I was transitioning out of the RS8 shop, which was our modernization shop for Fifth Special Forces, and the guy that came in knew the CEO of American Cloud, who had gone through uh, SFAS, the qualification course, with him. Now he got sick and ended up getting removed from the course, but they kept that relationship going, as he moved on into civilian life, and the guy that replaced me moved on into fifth group. And he was like, "Hey, my buddy's starting a business." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he was like, "Yeah, contact him." And he gave me his number. And I contacted Aaron Wagner, our CEO, and he was like, "Dude, we would love to have you on." And he started telling me a little bit about what they were doing. And I was like, "That's awesome, man. It sounds like a good place, a good home." So
That's awesome. I love that because a lot of people feel the only way to get hired is to go on the job boards and click apply, apply, apply. And here you did it with networking. You probably uh cut out, you probably made it so much easier for yourself than what the typical person does. So good for you for exploring that.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then LinkedIn was a big help too. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot
that's
of
great.
networking on there. So it's a great help
No
as well.
doubt. Talk a little bit about American Cloud. What are some of the work that you guys do and who do you help? And
Yeah, so at American Cloud, like I said, this was my job when I first came out of the military. It's been great to me. It's like working with a remote family, virtual family. So it's awesome. We are a infrastructure as a service company. We're 100% cancel free. So we are not going to cancel you from our platform because we don't agree with something you say or you believe in. We're
right.
just that we want to have the internet be just as free as America is. We love free America and we love free internet. So we want freedom of speech across the board on the internet and in America. And that's our stance. That's where we're at. Yeah, we own our own database and out in California. So we're able to compete, be very competitive with our competition. So that is awesome. It
Mhm.
also allows us to offer zero egress fees off of any of our platforms. Which I didn't know much about egress fees, but apparently, like, it's a pretty good charge.
Yeah.
When
When
I
you
started
read.
looking into it's a pretty decent charge. So we're able to offer zero egress fees, and we're able to offer 24/7 onshore support. So that's another perk.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, I
yeah.
know. And uh, do you work across all different industries? Who do you target for your customer base?
So we look a lot at the software development side. Providing them the infrastructure they need to build their applications or their products or whatever they're doing. We have a vast array of marketplace apps to include WordPress, so we can host WordPress sites for customers if they have a need for that. I've done quite a few of those migrations, and it's a pretty simple process. But yeah, that's our biggest focus. That's our target. I would throw out there. Um, Not that we can't support a lot of other things. We also have a large block storage, object storage capability. So if you have a cloud storage need, we can support that as well. So yeah, right now we do support a lot of our the people in the gun industry, the people in different religious organizations, and stuff like that. So that's where.
Awesome. Well, you guys are such a military friendly organization. You guys hire people from the military, and that's what connected us together. And I just have nothing but respect for what you guys are doing. I know your work is outstanding. It's quality. It's a great company. If anyone out there needs a good provider for anything cloud related, give these guys a call. Joe will take care of you, and you know, be able to service any of your needs. I know you guys are just a top company, and I appreciate what you do for the community. Let's just jump quickly, Joe, to maybe some of your favorite tips or advice for other guys transitioning out. Is there anything that you'd recommend to them that could make their transition a little less confusing, a little less daunting?
Absolutely. Take any word of advice that is given to you from the TAP program, even though the classes can be kind of boring. Pay attention. Take any advice that those guys are giving you. They've lived it. They've transitioned. Most of them, if not all of them, are veterans. So take that advice. Like I said earlier, organize that advice and then use it as you go forward. One of the big pieces that was helpful for me was the financial planning tools that they gave us coming out. That helped me as I transitioned into my new job, kind of figure out where I need to be on a salary basis, um, but also helped me navigate the tax brackets. So because I'd
Yeah.
never worried about tax brackets before in my life, so
Right.
that was one thing that I took away, and I still use to this day. I budget using that spreadsheet they give us.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, and then any opportunity you get to talk to somebody,
Yeah.
if you talk to somebody, you know, they most everyone knows something that you might not know, you know.
Yep.
So always be an open book, always be willing to learn,
Yeah.
and absorb anything that people are telling you, and that was a big key for me to the success.
Great advice. That's a really
Yeah.
good suggestions. Let's switch gears. One last question. Talk to other business owners, HR directors out there. What is the benefit to them of hiring military, hiring someone like you, hiring some of the people who you place at your company? Like, what does a veteran bring to their company um to to garner, like, hey, another look and give them an opportunity? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so here's the big thing that I've noticed with my transition is I coming out of the military, we are very task focused. We are focused very much on a task. One thing I've noticed, and I've had to make a little bit of an effort to kind of back away from that or back off of it is when I get a task, I want to complete it right then, right now, like as fast as I possibly can, you know? But especially in the tech industry, things can't be always completed that quick. So I've learned to kind of manage myself a little bit more. But for companies and CEOs, HR out there, if you're hiring a military vet or someone coming out of the military, like they are task oriented individuals. So if you provide them a task and purpose, they are going to get that task and purpose done in a timely manner. Um, Coupled with that, you have the discipline that comes out of the military. You know, the kids coming out of the military, the older guys coming out of the military, they have seen a different side of life in a certain way. There's a lot of discipline that is oriented into it, physical fitness. There's just a whole array of good things that come from guys coming out of the military as far as discipline is concerned, in my opinion. So not
Yeah.
to say you don't get it from others, but I'm just saying that
Yeah. Yeah.
discipline coming out of the military is very high.
It's so much a part of probably every day you're in service, you're being, you got to use all these great skill sets, being a leader, being coachable, having toughness that just transitions so well to the civilian world. And
Absolutely.
that's what I love to see and why I love working in this industry. So, hey, Joe, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking some time. If anyone out there wants to connect with just a great guy, if you need help with your transition, I'm sure Joe will be more than willing to connect with you and be a sounding board and check out American Cloud. If you're in the market for a great company who will take care of you, give these guys a call. I know you'll be in good hands with them. So thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jordy.